Welcome to this special edition of News Talk Online on Paltalk.com. My guest today is Jennifer Hoffman, Hoffman. She is, believe it or not, a real-life miracle worker and a teacher. She's an intuitive and clairvoyant. She has written a book called 30 Days to Everyday Miracles, How to Create a Miraculous Life. And in it, she outlines these 12 universal laws, how the universe is set in a way to help each of us if we just believe it and follow the steps in the book. She says things will come to us. It could be riches, it could be good health, it could be a life partner, things that are very important to us. If we really believe that they will come to us, according to Jennifer Hoffman, they will. Jennifer Hoffman, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. Did I get that right? That basically, from my understanding of the book, I hope I got it right. If I did, that means you did a good job writing the book. If I truly believe in something that I really need and I really want, it'll actually come to me. The universe will provide.
Absolutely. And you did a wonderful introduction of the book and the universal laws, because what you said is exactly true. They are set up to give us exactly what we want. The problem we run into is we don't always believe that we're going to get it, and we create all these obstacles like doubts and fears that kind of create this push-pull. I remember the push-me-pull-you from the original Dr. Dolittle book. You know, it was a llama that had two heads and we're joined in the middle, and one went one direction, one went in the other direction. We do that. We are, yes, I want it. Oh, maybe I can't have it. Okay, then I don't want it. Well, yeah, I do want it. And we just keep on pulling like that until basically we just talk ourselves out of it.
You know, I'll tell you from my own life, long before reading this book, I was ready for a change in job status. I had been at CNN for 10 years, and I've been doing exactly the same thing for those 10 years. I loved working there. I loved the people I worked with and for, but I was ready for a change. So I started making inquiries, and I got, believe it or not, like 4 potential offers. And I didn't know what I wanted to really do, where I really wanted to go. And a friend of mine said, stop and think about, in your heart, which one of these potential offers do you really want? I said, well, believe it or not, the one I really want is I want to go into the new media. I want to go work for Paltalk. And she said, forget about the others. Just think about this one. Tell yourself this is what you want, and it will come to you. And within a week and a half, it actually happened. And I thought it was kind of weird, Jennifer, when she told me that, and then I read your book. Then it happened, and then I read your book, and it seemed to affirm exactly what that woman was telling me.
Exactly. And, you know, and she did exactly the right thing. You know, focus on what you want. And the important thing is stop worrying about everybody else. Because often we think about how what we want affects other people. Is it what they want? Does what we get change our relationship with them? What if we get something and they don't have something? Are they still going to like us? You know, we have to deal with, jealousy of people. I have lots of clients who deal with that. It's like, well, if I get what I want, then what about everybody else? Well, they have the power to get what they want. Everybody has the same amount of power. It's how we use it in our lives that creates the differences.
That's a very important point that you just made, and it really struck me when I was reading the book, and I was surprised when you said, do not be altruistic when you're asking for a miracle. Don't ask for a miracle for your neighbor, for your friend, even for your relative. Ask for the miracles for you, and it's okay to do that. But we're kind of conditioned to think about others before we do think about ourselves, and perhaps that's what keeps us from reaching the goals for which we strive.
And that's correct. You know, in 30 Days to Everyday Miracles, that's one thing that I have called a miracle commitment, and that's one of the points is you can't create miracles for others. You can't make anybody's life better for them. You have to make your own life better, and you have to see them as powerful. You know, when we try and make other people's lives better, even our children, then we're seeing them as weak and incapable and powerless, and they're not. And my older son is a video game designer, and he's in the technology industry, and he was going to get laid off his job, and he called me, and he was so upset. It was his first job, his first layoff. He'd worked so hard. He was just crying. And what am I going to do? And I said, you're going to see this as an opportunity to get away from this terror. He had a terrible manager who was really hard on him, and he really didn't get along with this manager. I said, you've been wanting to get away from this manager. See this as an opportunity. What can you do to make this powerful? Well, I don't know. And I said, well, you've got all afternoon to work on it because this is going to be your last day at work. And he said, okay, I'll work on it. And he called me a few hours later, and he had gotten an offer from another department to go work in there, and he's still there a year and a half later and loves his job.
How long have you realized that you have the ability to help people reach their miracle goals such as you have?
I've been actually had this miracle coaching program since 2004, but I'm what's called a lifelong intuitive. I've always been intuitive. My first intuitive experience that I remember happened when I was 2.5 years old. I have always really felt this desire and known that I can help people connect with that part of them that they've kind of forgotten about, the part of them that says, this is my dream, this is my goal, and then to show them how they can reach that. But the miracle coaching program has been around since 2004, and my miracle that I first created with using these principles is at a time when I had literally no money. I had absolutely no money. I decided one day that I was going to go to France for a 2-week vacation, and a couple days later I got an email from someone who was offering me a job as a translator, I speak French, on a tour to France for 2 weeks in about a month and a half, and he paid for my entire trip, and he paid me for going.
And so you got your trip, and it was paid for, and you had no money, but it happened, and you do recount that in the book. What's the number one issue people come to you for help in achieving? What is their biggest desire of all of your clients?
Their biggest desire is generally to find their path, to find something that makes them happy. Most people wander through life, and they do things. They have jobs, and they have families, and they have lifestyles, but a lot of them are really unhappy, and a lot of them feel like they're not living their purpose. They're not living this goal they have of something that they want to do that really makes them happy. And we find that. Sometimes it takes some people a little longer than others, but once they understand that they are powerful and they get an example of creating something in their life that they really want, that makes them happy, then it sets them on that path to realizing that they can do this over and over again.
The name of the book is 30 Days to Everyday Miracles, How to Create a Miraculous Life. The author is Jennifer Hoffman, and for more information, you can go to www.enlighteninglife.com. Jennifer Hoffman, thanks for joining us today on News Talk Online on paltalk.com.